and finally manifest your dream life. So I just want to extend a warm welcome and thank you for taking this time today to be on this workshop. I know your time is valuable, so I'm going to go over all the important points to start. So first off, this workshop here is about 60 minutes. So please make sure you carve out that time for yourself. I'm going to show you exactly how to crush self-doubt and fear. And it's important that you don't have any distractions along the way. I'm going to help you find out exactly what's stopping you in your day-to-day life and exactly what's keeping you from living your life to the fullest. And I'm going to share a very simple plan that you're going to take with you by the end of this workshop as well. So if you're ready, let's get started. So first off, just make sure you're in the right place here. You're in the right place if you are a highly sensitive person and you're struggling with confusion about next steps, and you're also struggling with self-doubt and not knowing what's best in your life. Maybe you're an empath, so you're extremely sensitive to your environment, energies, and you're having a really hard time navigating that. You might be sick of living in a state of fear and anxiety, and you want an easier way of just being able to break through that and be able to trust your intuition again, because I know how hard it can be when you're second guessing yourself all the time. And then also the next idea here is that you want to make sure that you are interested in intuitive knowing, you're interested into your spiritual growth. And if you are, this is absolutely the right place for you. This is all about helping you to manifest and align with the life of your dreams. So with that being said, let's get started. And by the way, I'm going to be talking a bit fast here just to make sure we have plenty of time to answer questions at the end. And so before we start as well, just another quick reminder, please let go of any distractions. So turn off your phone if you're not using it for the workshop. Make sure you close down any tabs that may be distracting right now. And also, if you have any issues with your internet or with the workshop in general, then a bit of housekeeping on this. It's very simple for the most part. If you have any internet issues, just try to refresh your browser. That typically works. But if it's on my end, then I'll get a notification, and I do have a separate link that I can put in the chat, and that'll give you access into the next room that we can pick up our workshop at. But of course, if you have any questions along the way, please leave them in the chat. I won't be really checking the chat too much throughout our workshop, so I can stay on task with this, but please leave your questions. I will get to them at the end here. So let's move into what you're going to learn. So at this point, the really big piece of this is being able to step into understanding the three biggest mistakes that are stopping you from living the life of your dreams, because without knowing these, it's almost as if not having the awareness, you're completely disconnected from being able to make those changes. And then I'm going to go over the exact steps you need to fully align with your intuition, access your higher self, and then make your dreams a reality. So I'm really excited to guide you along this path today. This is one of my most favorite subjects to teach, so it's going to be an adventure. So moving on here to our next part, a special bonus if you stay until the end. And this bonus is for everybody who stays until the very end of our workshop. And again, it's about an hour. So if you leave before the hour is up, you will miss out on this bonus. So please stick through it, because you're going to really enjoy what I have in store for you. So with that being said, let's get started. I want to just start with a story, because I find it's helpful just to understand where I'm coming from with, the idea of self-doubt and fear and anxiety. I'm going to share two different situations, and this comes from direct contact with clients I work with, and names and identities have, of course, been changed as a way of keeping this anonymous. But the first person that I want to introduce you to is, we have Alyssa. So Alyssa is anxious. She's burdened by trauma. She's an overwhelmed empath. She feels unworthy. She's stuck and confused. She's working at a job she hates. You can see where this is going, right? She's disconnected from her purpose, and she fears that she will never heal or be a healer for others. So you can imagine Alyssa's feeling awful, right? And this is actually, not an uncommon thing. I see this more often than not. So then we have Natasha. This is the second type of person that I work with and see really great results with as we work together. And Natasha is an empath, so she's very highly sensitive, but she's thriving in the world, right? She's deeply attuned to her intuition. She feels worthy and feels like she's good enough. She works in a job she loves. She feels 100% on track with her purpose, and she's full of peace and clarity, and she's healed all of those stuck blockages that have contributed to trauma and anxiety in her life. So I know this might seem like kind of a silly question, but who would you rather be, right? Would you rather be Alyssa or would you rather be like Natasha? And, you're basically either one, stuck in self-doubt and confusion, which I would say is many, many people, or you're attuned with your intuition and on track with your life purpose, which is 100% possible. And I'm going to show you exactly how as we go forward here. So just so you know, the number one way I just basically developed the system, the way that I went forward with this was I crushed fear, anxiety, and self-doubt by connecting deeply with my intuition. And I'm going to share that journey a little bit more with you here soon. But it wasn't actually this intuition development really that really made the biggest impact. What it was is the system I created to help you merge with your higher self, also known as your intuitive self, that matters the most. So hello, everyone. For those of you who are not familiar with my teachings, with what I've done on One Awakening Community, my name is Amy Dean, and I'm a holistic counselor in California. And I specialize in helping people overcome anxiety and self-doubt. I work directly in private practice, online and in person, and developing courses as well to help the greater community. I'm a highly sensitive person also. I also identify as an empath, and I'm a mindfulness meditation teacher and intuitive reader. So just, kind of a fun fact about me is that I live in San Diego. I enjoy the RV life with my husband and our 2 Chihuahua mixed dogs. And hopefully we won't hear them today in our live workshop. But yes, so this is a little bit about me. And I'm going to share a bit more about what I do, how I work with people, and how I can help. So because of my background in psychology, I like to bridge together the gap of psychology and spirituality. So I want to help truly heal mind, body, and spirit. It's all about this holistic way of living and working for me. And I find that that's how I get the best results with the people I work with. So I am a professional intuitive teacher as well and a reader, and I've been doing this work for almost 10 years, and I absolutely love it. So this is something that is just very near and dear to my heart. But it wasn't always that way. There was quite a few challenges along the way, which I'll get into here in just a bit. So just to go over a bit more about my story and how I got here and the types of things that I've done in the past, my experience has been writing blogs on some amazing websites. I've trained from incredible people in the spiritual and psychology field. I'm an author, I'm a teacher, I'm a speaker. I've taught over 100 workshops on intuition-based subjects, spiritual awakening, and Akashic records. And all of these come together and they're all connected. I also have professional training in trauma, neurofeedback, and biofeedback, which is really just a way of retraining your brain towards healthier patterns. So basically what I do is I brought together all of my counseling and teaching experience to develop this very specific formula to help you merge with your higher self. And this higher self is the one that knows all the answers, right? This is the part of you that intuitively knows what's true for you and intuitively knows the next step. So I'm going to share a picture here of me in the past. This is younger me. So this is when I was really, really struggling with my sensitive and empathic, didn't call them gifts at the time, but this is when I was really struggling with these aspects of who I was and how to work with these energies of being so sensitive. I had, at the time, I was having visions, I was having psychic experiences, and I didn't know how to actually work around that. I didn't know what it meant. I didn't have any training. And it was actually very scary for me at the time. And I suppressed it. I shut it down because I didn't know what else to do. And that just created more anxiety, right? So I started having tons of anxiety and didn't really know why. And it's because all of these gifts that were inside were no longer able to come out and be seen. So I also knew very young that I had a big purpose for this lifetime. I just intuitively knew when I was a child that I was meant to be a teacher. But yet I had a whole bunch of obstacles, it seemed, to be able to get to that place. And I thought, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I'm not quite understanding my purpose. So I was confused, working in jobs I didn't like, doing things I didn't enjoy, and realizing that I was stuck. I was very, very, very stuck. And it wasn't until I really hit rock bottom. And rock bottom for me, when this all started, I was in a very bad place, in my career, in my understanding about my relationships as a whole. Everything was already seemed to be falling apart. And then something even worse happened that I couldn't even imagine was possible. And that's when my dad, also my best friend, passed away quite suddenly, and I didn't have the tools to handle it. I didn't know what to do. I just, from the inside out, I felt completely torn, completely heartbroken. It was like the rug was pulled out from under my feet, and I didn't know how to see the world anymore, right? I didn't have a sense of meaning or purpose, and I didn't really want to find meaning or purpose. I just felt like I wanted to disconnect from everything. And I almost vowed to not live my spiritual purpose. I slightly at the time I said to myself, I'm not going to go that route. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to take a step back and I'm going to go further within. And that was painful. That was incredibly painful. But the suffering led me to a light at the end of the tunnel, which, if some of you or all of you have ever gone through any kind of grief experience, you know what it's like to go through what's known as this kind of dark night of the soul, right? Where everything's dark. You have no idea if it's ever going to get better, right? Because it's just day in, day out, you're feeling like the world is pulling you down. So at this point, I'm thinking, okay, I have to give up on my dreams. I can't really do anything anymore. There's nothing left inside of me to keep going. But things got better. So I knew at this time, I can't give up. I mean, there was something inside me, right? There was that intuitive knowing of, come on, you got to get this light going. You've got to keep moving. And I knew there had to have been a way to move forward. But I didn't want, another self-help tool, right? I wanted a proven formula for how to move forward, because if you've ever been depressed, if you're anxious, if you've gone through grief, you know that the last thing you want to do is sit there and just kind of sort through all of these different tools and try to find one that's going to work, right? It's not helpful. So, I really can understand and meet a lot of you where you are right now, because if you are stuck in self-doubt or fear or anxiety at this current time in your life, then it can feel very lonely. It can feel very hopeless. And you're probably also very skeptical about whether or not anything can really change or anything can really happen in a positive way. So I want to just extend some love to you right now and let you know there is a rainbow after this rainstorm. And now, of course, I want to just say that it wasn't just one day I woke up and all of a sudden I said, oh, I'm just in line with my purpose and everything's great. It was a process. It was a painful process, and it took quite a few years. And then, once I developed this kind of intuitive formula as a result of hitting rock bottom, right? Because some of you know, when you hit rock bottom, the only way to go up sometimes, or the only direction is up sometimes. So what I did is I realized that I had all of these insights and all of this understanding from this very painful experience that I allowed myself to feel. And from there, developed this Awaken Your Intuitive Powers formula. And this is something that has changed my life as well as many other people's lives. And now I am 100% on track with my purpose. So I'll show you some other pictures here. This is just kind of my day-to-day life. I feel so connected to the earth. I feel so connected to my higher self and my spirit. And it's almost as if that other me is someone else. It's another past life, in my opinion, because when I look back, it's just no longer the same person in any way. And I also know now that I had to go through that experience and, I had to disconnect from my dad in that way. It was both of our spiritual paths to do that. And now I'm still in contact with him in just a different way now. And I realized that the spiritual growth was needed. This was exactly what was in my soul contract. So with that being said, a little bit more about what my life looks like now. I can easily tap into my intuitive guidance. I always feel on track with my purpose. I never second guess myself anymore because I have this I'm cued in, I'm plugged in to my intuition, and I feel at home within myself. And I don't say that lightly because I know 100% what it's like to not feel at home within myself or connected with anything other than pain. So now that you know a bit more about me and about my journey, I now want to share with you the 3 simple mistakes that everyone makes. Yes, everyone, especially those in the spiritual development field, that actually keep you stuck in self-doubt. So if you don't already have a pen and paper handy, make sure you're taking some notes because you will want to refer back to this later. So number 1 mistake. Now, this mistake is so common that it can make a person very skeptical that anything can really help you. So if you're one that has tried this, you've tried that, you've done so many things, then this is one of the mistakes that you might be making. And that is trying everything imaginable to fix the problem. Mistake number 1. So common though, right? We're always kind of trying to fix something when we feel like there's an imbalance. It's natural, right? We're trying to get back to homeostasis. However, it doesn't always help, right? So I like to describe this like, let's say that a friend tells you about an amazing meal that they made. And they said, oh, I tried all of this. I put these ingredients together and it turned out great. Now, this friend doesn't tell you the exact ingredients and you say, well, I'm just going to give it a try. I'm feeling really courageous. So you just put all these ingredients together in a pot and then you taste it and you realize this is terrible, right? This is not what I thought it was going to be because you didn't have the full recipe. And the full recipe, it really comes from your higher self. Right? It's not going to come from anybody else. So maybe you're, like most people, you've tried energy healing, you've tried yoga, you've tried meditation, self-improvement workshops, and you just keep getting stuck time and time again. And I'm going to go into the reason why that is here soon. Number 2 mistake. This is another really, really common trap. And this one really leads to feeling frustrated, desperate, and feeling like you're not good enough. So as you can imagine, we don't want to go this route, right? So this is the big problem and also a really big myth, which is the feeling of, I need to learn something that I don't understand yet to fix my problems. Your mind's going to tell you that. But I am confident because if you're here today, I know that you've tried many things. I know that you've probably been stuck in this situation for some time. And I'm very confident that you know more than you think you do. In fact, sometimes what we need is less, not more. And it's almost as if our intuition is asking for us just to clear the debris so we can get down to the truth of who we are. And that's what I help you do. I help you get past all of the surface level stuff down to the foundation, completely clearing out what doesn't feel right and helping you to truly get in touch with that part of you that has the answers. So then we're going to move into number 3 mistake. Now, this mistake is also extremely common and leads to this feeling of hopelessness, feeling dissatisfied with all different areas of your life. And it is seeking. This is seeking something outside yourself. And, as spiritual people who are interested in spiritual growth and spiritual evolution, in many ways, it's like we already know this, I think, very innately. But it's one thing to know something cognitively in your mind, and it's another to know it in your heart. right? And so this is what I want to share with you, is that seeking is actually keeping you further from what you desire, because that solution is already inside. And the more we are seeking, the less we are having. So I hope that makes sense. The more we are seeking, the less we are having. And I can show you how to get past this block. You don't need 1,000 more tools again, right, to actually clear that. But ultimately, it's about getting this map back to yourself. So let me share an example here. I had a student, her name is Anne, and she started working with me. It's been quite a few years now, and she started taking my classes and wanted to develop her intuition as well as her psychic reading skills. And we started working together, and there was this very kind of skeptical feeling of, can I trust myself? Can I trust the information coming up? How do I know it's not my imagination? Right? How do I know that what I'm getting is real and not just, something that's completely imaginary? So we worked together for a while. She was coming to my classes, and then she had an amazing experience. And now she has actually taken my Akashic Records certification course. And from there, she now does readings for other people. And she wrote this testimonial here as a testimony to how things have changed for her over this time. She says, Amy makes the learning experience very easy and direct, and throughout my trainings with Amy, everything has changed for me. I feel much more in touch with my intuition and my soul. And it warms my heart to see this, because this is exactly why I got into the work I do. And I love to share this with you so you can see that there are real people getting real results. It's not just me. I'm not special. Tons of other people are getting these results as well. So now I'm going to ask you if you can head over to the chat and answer just with a big yes in the chat if it feels right to you, right? If this is a yes. And the question is, are you ready to crush all of this self-doubt and start trusting your intuition no matter what life throws your way? So I want to see yeses in the chat, please. If you feel this, if you're ready, if you're excited. And are you ready to break free of the anxiety of living in the state of not being able to make decisions with ease and not being able to step into your power? Are you ready to move into a state of stepping into your power and being able to make decisions just right out of the top of your mind and knowing that was the right decision? So if that's a yes, put that in the chat. Are you ready to heal all of these old wounds? Yes, all of them. And these are the ones that keep you stuck, right? Day in, day out, every single day of your life. And all of this is what's keeping you from being able to make that difference, right? So if you're ready, please say yes in the chat. And last one here. Are you ready to wake up every single day with a sense of purpose and passion, knowing that you're 100% on track with your purpose and on track with your life as a whole? So I want to get you excited, because this next step here is all about the 3 simple steps to crush self-doubt and finally manifest your dream life. So if you haven't already, so I love the yeses. Thank you. Yes, well, good. I'm glad to see that. And this is all about moving forward, So right now, if you haven't been taking notes, please make sure you are, because now I'm going to give you these very important steps that are going to help you move forward into this next stage of your life. So this is exciting. All right, so moving on to our next piece. Step number 1. This is discovering the number 1 problem that keeps you stuck. So I did mention before, awareness is everything. Once you're aware 100% of what is blocking you, of what these obstacles are, you're going to be able to overcome them. In fact, it's more than the first step. It leads you all the way to understanding what you need to do next. And then I talk about something called sticky mind experiences with my clients and with my students. And what sticky mind experiences are if you want to imagine that, it's like your brain is trying to process information, especially when you've had something distressing or disturbing, something traumatizing in your life, something that was just really difficult to sit with. And your brain is trying to process through that at the time. And it really does a good job. It does everything it possibly can. However, life is hard, right? We know life is not always easy. So what tends to happen is our brain gets stuck. It doesn't always have the tools or the resources or the kind of available space, so to speak, right, to be able to process through this. So what happens is your mind gets stuck in this very sticky place. And what this ends up looking like is then you start having these anxiety experiences. You might even experience depression. You're having trauma triggers. And then, very quite chronically, actually, unable to really trust yourself. And you start to question everything. And that's because there's stuff inside there that we need to clear out. And these sticky experiences, they lead to things, other things too, like an imbalanced life. Maybe you're stressed out every day. Maybe your relationships are suffering because of it. So just know that that's the culprit right here, are these sticky mind experiences. And really what's happening is it's like a sticky covering over your intuition. So it's not that we need to, kind of dig and dig and dig and get to your intuition. We just got to clear up the sticky stuff, right? That's it. I know it seems simple, and it really is. However, the reason why it's hard is because not everything works for everybody. And I know, being in the psychotherapy field, there's lots of tools that I've tried that have worked and some that haven't worked. And that's why I developed my own method, because I wanted something that worked for everybody, right? I didn't want to have this limiting type of experience. So I want to share with you a client of mine and a student of mine that had, a very connected experience with having the sticky issues happening in her mind. And her name is JM, and she, very similarly to Anne, was going to my classes for quite a few years and was actually really, really dedicated, and still is very dedicated to her spiritual growth, accessing her higher self. And I admire her courage and her desire for change and spiritual growth. And what I saw with her, as she developed and changed over time, was somebody who didn't believe 100% in herself, to going from being a person of doubting herself constantly, especially around her readings and what was coming up, to recognizing that she had all the answers within herself and that she could trust them 100%. So she says here, before meeting Amy, I was overwhelmed and depressed. Amy's courses helped me become empowered to change my inner dialogue. And Amy is a rare teacher who is without judgment, and her programs are truly transformational. So now let's move into the next step. This is step number 2. Step number 2 is break through these emotional blocks for good. Now, as I mentioned, I went through a very dark period of my life. And when I went through that, I didn't have any tools that worked, right? I mean, I was trying everything at the time and nothing worked. Meditation, yoga, you name it, counseling skills, as many things as I could find. And then I developed this intuition map process. Now, this is a way of bridging the gap between your ego mind and your higher self, and keeping you from getting stuck ever again. Basically, what it does is it helps you to completely clear out these sticky mind experiences and allow that true light to come through. And then there's something called the Reactive Emotional Patterns resource. And this is something that really came a lot from recognizing the limitations of psychotherapy in some ways, as well as my own limitations of healing through grief and other very distressing situations. And this is a way of moving from any kind of negative emotion, any kind of negativity you might experience in your day-to-day life, and transforming it within just a few minutes. It's that powerful. So this is great for anxiety. It's great for trauma. It's great for depression, but it's also just great if you have a stressful life, right? Because everybody's going to experience some level of negativity at some point in their lives. So I want to share with you another testimonial here, just so you can see other people who are receiving some really good results from this. This is Marian, and she took the Awaken Your Intuitive Powers course. And being in the mental health field herself, she knew exactly what it was like to have limitation, right, around this. And what she said here is that I am so impressed with everything about this course. The powerful, well-organized content helped me tap into my intuition and clear out stuck patterns that nothing else would touch. that was just, it just lit me up, because at that point I realized this is the work, right? This is helping so many people move forward. And I love sharing all of this with you. And I hope that your eyes are opening up to the possibilities, and that if you did have a feeling of hopelessness or a feeling of things are not going to get better in my life or in the world, just know that anything is possible. And I know that straight from my heart. So before I get completely involved in that, I'm going to move on to the next one here. So the next piece is step 3. Now, this is one of the most important pieces of the puzzle here: merging with your intuitive self. This is that final step to crush the self-doubt, fear, and anxiety, because this is the problem, right? We're stuck in the ego mind. And being stuck in the ego mind means that these sticky experiences are going to keep us stuck time and time again, unless we plug in to that higher self and stay there. And it's doable 100%. I've learned from teaching, in my workshops and classes, as well as working with clients, that we all have these several inner parts that run our lives. They're always kind of like ego state parts. So everybody has them. There's the inner critic, there's the inner child, there's the worrier, right? So you may have noticed you have a few in there, and it's normal. It's very normal. And these parts are not bad and they're not wrong, but they're not useful sometimes to us, right? And in many ways we identify with them. And when we identify with these parts, that's when we get stuck. That's when we forget the truth about who we are. So my goal in all this is to help you see that these parts are actually just part of your ego, and is actually keeping you from recognizing your higher self. And this is really part of that intuition map as well. So the idea is also that when we merge with our higher self 100%, we are going to merge and stay there permanently, because that's actually what's meant to happen. I'm not sure if you knew that deep within yourself, but that's the truth. You're always meant to be connected to your higher self. And in truth, that connection's still there, even if you're not aware of it, but we have to cultivate it. We have to recreate this relationship again with your higher self, so that you feel 100% in tune no matter what's happening in your life. So now I want to share another example, which is from Jennifer. And Jennifer was somebody who attended my in-person workshops, and she has been very dedicated to her spiritual growth as well. And was always so determined to get through these stuck places. And she says to me, she lovingly sent this over to me, and it just also again warmed my heart. She says, "I find Amy's energy and approach to be pure and healing. Her work on the higher self has had a powerful healing effect on my physical body and strengthened the intuitive places within that were in need of help. Thank you." So I love this. I love this because when I get this, it's a knowing, right? This stuff is actually helping other people. That is exactly what I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to do when I hit rock bottom. And then this was kind of that next step in moving forward. And that's what's waiting for you at the same time. So then we have Crystal. Crystal was, like many of my very dedicated students, she was working with me for a couple years, going to my classes and workshops, and actually became a certified Akashic Records reader, just like Anne and just like JM. And she, was trying to get in touch with her higher self on many levels, and trying to really understand her role as a light worker and a medium. And what she discovered is that she is already tapped in. And so what she said here is that Amy is such a gifted teacher who thoughtfully creates her courses, and I've learned so much about myself, and her teachings have given me so much peace and direction in my life. So now, something really important here. If you want to permanently crush and all of this self-doubt, all of this fear, and just merge with your higher self, you need support. You can't go at this alone. And we were never meant to go at this alone, right? We're meant to connect with fellow human beings on this journey and have that opportunity to bounce ideas off one another and be able to be vulnerable when we need to be. So everybody who's ever worked with me has committed to getting that support and determining that was important in their life. Each of my students, they went from self-doubt to this kind of unmovable confidence based on the step-by-step system, which I'm going to outline for you right now. Before I do that though, I just want to remind you of the 3 mistakes to avoid. This is really important. If you haven't written it down just yet, please do. And that is trying everything imaginable to fix the problem and thinking you need to learn something. Instead, you need to discover, right, and connect to the truth deep within your heart, and then continuing to search for that solution out there somewhere where really you just need to go deeper inside. So those are the 3 important mistakes you need to know, that if you're doing these, the awareness of them is already going to help you move forward. So now I also just want to reiterate and kind of bring to light that my formula for tapping into your intuition permanently is not just a bunch of theory. And that's why I share all of these stories and testimonials from my students, because I want you to know that this is not a hopeless situation. You don't have to keep grasping and going out there and finding things any further. And so with that being said, if you take away one thing, I want you to know that you can completely crush self-doubt without working harder and without spending tons of time and money on fixing yourself. And I know you can 100%, because if I can, then you can. I know it, because again, there is nothing different or special about me or any of the students that I've worked with. So I've developed this Awaken Your Intuitive Powers formula that makes it really easy to get in touch with your inner guidance system. Even if you're a person that struggles with focus, struggles with committing to things sometimes, struggles with getting distracted, because this information is so life-changing and so transformative that your soul is almost, in many ways, just guides you to it and pulls you into it. So I'm going to outline this system here for you today so you get a really close view as to what this is all about. So the really big question first, though, is how can you apply this, right? How can you apply this to your business, your job, your relationships, your health, and finally make your dreams come true? Because I know I've done that for myself. I know many of my students and my clients have, and I know you can too. And you're not that far from it. You're really not that far from it. So let's go in again, back to full circle, right? We've got Alyssa, we've got Natasha, and we've determined, right, that you don't want to stay like Alyssa, right? This is a self-doubt situation. You're stuck in confusion, and Natasha is completely aligned with her intuition. So she's doing something right, right? So with that being said, I want to introduce you. It's so exciting because I don't offer this very often, but it's a specific formula. This is my Awaken Your Intuitive Powers course to crush self-doubt and permanently tap into your intuition in just 6 weeks. So I'm going to share a bit about that and give you a backstage pass as to what you're going to learn in each stage of the program. So number 1, intuition as your natural state of being. This is module 1. So this is just like a backstage pass into all of this. You're going to get powerful intuition training videos. This helps you to understand your true power. And just this one lesson alone is going to help break through all of those old stuck patterns that may have been there for many, many years. Then there's this inner blocks discovery. So I'm going to help you understand at the deepest level. Again, I mentioned awareness is everything. So once we truly understand exactly what's keeping you stuck, then we can start moving forward. So this is really a self-discovery module in many ways. And then we have Discover Your Intuitive Type. This is number 2, module number 2. And this is where you discover exactly how you receive intuitive information. Now, you might have some idea about that already, but it needs to be really, really clear. Otherwise, information is going to pop in your mind and you're not going to know, right? You're going to say, wait, was that my intuition or was that my ego mind? And then what happens? You start to overthink it, right? And so this is about stopping that monkey mind syndrome situation and allowing you to get in touch with your higher self. And this is where, this is the beginning anyway of the process of bridging that gap between the ego and your higher self. And then of course, a lot of the work I do is tracking, the progress you're making over time, because I find it so important for you to look back and see, wow, that's where I started from. And this is where I am now. So I'd like you to meet Susan, and this information I'm going to share with you is all coming from this private Facebook group that's connected to the course. And it just copied and pasted it. And when you go into the Facebook group, you can see all of these people here sharing their experiences. But Susan says, this week, I've really enjoyed the Meet Your Higher Self exercise. I've used it multiple times when feeling emotionally charged, and I had immediate results with feeling more grounded in myself. Answers also came easier to me without effort. So then we have module number 3. So module number 3 is all about the role of fear and trauma. This is where a lot of my experience of being a trauma counselor comes into play, and I truly give this to you in a very understandable language. It's not all technical and psychological in that way. It's super easy to understand. And it goes so much deeper than what you might expect or that you might have heard before. And a lot of it is connected to the spiritual experiences I've had as well, and what information I've gotten from my spiritual guides. So what that does is it takes you from the stuckness into the breakthrough, right? The breakthrough of fear, trauma, and anxiety. And then there's time-tested tools in this module, which I think you're going to absolutely love. And I'll show you actually Christine. So Christine, she says in the Facebook group, I really enjoyed the intuition exercise for module 3. It really has helped me connect with my higher self and clear out stuck blockages. So that's it right there, right? That's exactly it. Already by module 3, you're already clearing out the stuck blockages, if not before then. She says, I definitely had some incredible messages of love and knowing / being known. So then moving right along here, we have module number 4. This is breaking free of negative mind patterns. This is where I introduce that reactive emotional pattern resource and tool that I mentioned earlier. And this is that step-by-step formula to really break through all of the stuck places, even if you've tried everything. And I promise, even if you've done years of psychotherapy, even if you've tried everything that you can imagine, this is different. And then there's these powerful intuitive practices that I'm going to share that help you to stop sabotaging yourself, because I'm sure you know, right? Once we go into those inner parts again, there's the self-sabotage aspect going on. And I'm going to help you break free of it so that you don't get stuck in this momentum anymore. And this is where a lot of the higher self connection work really comes in. And then we have Sandy. So Sandy said in week 4, I found week 4's lesson on breaking free from negative thought patterns to be incredibly useful. This week really offers a complete playbook in how to combat all negative emotions when life is difficult and disappointing. All right, then module 5. So module 5 is where we create life balance, and this is like the deep cleaning stage, right? So if we missed anything along the line, we're going to go way deeper. We're going to go all the way into the depth of your being to clear out any stuck trauma, anxiety, fear, whatever may be there. And a lot of this is about understanding that you need to have a balance in your life. And I help you create that so that you're not swayed one way or another when your ego mind is coming up. And this is also about experiencing the truth of who you are. So I have very powerful chakra clearing techniques to help you get through that. Then we have my favorite module, which is module number 6. This is where you finally merge with your intuitive and higher self. Every single module up to this point is guiding you to this very moment. This is where you actually get to feel that transformation take place. And you only have to do this exercise once. Of course, you have access to it forever, but just doing it once is all it takes to create that new relationship and to create this transformative process. Then you have this ability to have a higher self communication plan, which is all about making sure you don't second guess yourself again, right? Making sure that you know 100% when your higher self is speaking to you. And then I help guide you through, keeping the momentum in case, life takes you aside and you forget to dive in again, or you forget about the resources. So I have everything in place so that you don't lose focus and so that you can stay completely interactive in this course. So then Susan said this in the Facebook group. She said, I just finished week 6 and merging with your higher self exercise is very powerful. It was so comforting to recognize my higher self is within me, and now I am easily able to shift into a space of hearing from her. So this was huge. Over 6 weeks, just seeing from the beginning where Susan and many others have started, this was a huge leap in just a short period of time. So this is what you get. And this is basically just the practical stuff. This is exactly what's inside the course. And I'm just going to bring this up here so you have a clear view of what this looks like. So this is the course link or course button. And if you're on a mobile device, you may not be able to see this. So there's 3 little dots. If you happen to have the chat closed or the dialog box closed, make sure to open that up so you can see this button here, which gives you the ability to join now at any time during our workshop. So what this includes is you get 5 engaging training videos, fillable PDF worksheets, audio practice sessions, powerful brainwave enhanced meditative exercises, a Facebook support group, which is a lifetime access, by the way, where I will personally support you in this journey. And then again, the hands-on live support in the Facebook group is a really big added bonus to this. And then I also have a few other bonuses. One is discovering your body's wisdom exercise for those of you who suffer with physical pain or a considerable amount of emotional pain. This helps you get really in touch with your body and allows your body to help you heal, recreating that relationship again with a body that may have been wounded in many ways. So then we have bonus number 2, which is the self-awareness journal. This journal is for all of you spiritual seekers out there who want to know more about the big question, who am I, right? Who am I really deep within? And this journal helps you tap into that deeper knowing. Then I have something fun here, which is this fast action bonus. This is that really fun special bonus I mentioned to you at the beginning. And I don't offer this, by the way, any other time except on this workshop. And that is a free coaching call with me if you purchase your course within 15 minutes when I start the timer. So only during that time. Otherwise, this offer is completely off the table. Unfortunately, I just have too many people coming through to offer that coaching to. So I had to keep it limited to this. So just so you can see this as the whole overview and perspective, we have lifetime access for the entire system, which is valued at over $1,000. And I just added up the time, the energy, everything that went into creating this, and that's how much it's valued at. However, I want to make this accessible and affordable to as many people as possible. So you can get started right now for only $97. And or if you want the payment plan, it's only 4 monthly payments of $97 or $397 total if paid in full. So this is your time. So are you ready to finally crush self-doubt, fear, anxiety, and manifest your dream life in just 6 weeks? Because if so, there's 72 hours to jump on this. And after 72 hours or 3 days, this offer is completely off the table. So you have 2 options. You can either do the monthly payments, and that's $97. So it's actually $97, and then you have the other payments, and then single payment is $397. So the one thing is, if you decide that you really want the coaching and you really like to work with me, and you purchase the course when I start the timer here, then I am only allowing this for the $397. So if you decide I'm going to do this, it's 100% for me, I highly suggest just doing the $397 because that allows you to add in the coaching. And on the discounted plan, unfortunately, I'm unable to offer that at this time. So then final step is just to pay securely with your credit card. And let's see here, moving forward, also very important, I do have a 100% money back guarantee. So after 14 days of purchase, if you decide it's not for you, or you can't actually dedicate yourself to it, whatever it may be, I will absolutely give you all your money back, no questions asked. So that's important. So I want to share one more or a couple more rather important kind of experiences from my students, which I think might help you to see a bit more of what your experience might be like. So Susan says, Amy is a great facilitator and guide and created a very powerful course. The lessons, along with the exercises and unique meditation practices, make it easy to use the tools daily. I was able to connect with my higher self on a deeper level by releasing my fears and blocks. And I found that I've stopped second guessing myself and instead trust my intuition. And I love all the exclamations there too, because I mean, that's a big deal, right? And she says, this insight has led to making decisions with confidence and seeing a path forward. So I appreciate the in-depth information that she shared with us, because you can see how powerful that experience is. And then Crystal also says, I have never met a teacher like Amy before. As soon as I took her first class, I knew I was in the right place, and her courses and programs have changed my life. So I want to help you change your life. I want to help you transform. I want to help you move forward. So let's get this started. I'm going to start the timer here, and you're going to see it pop on the screen for 15 minutes. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to answer any questions that may have arisen for you. And as I answer these questions, make sure that you're clicking on that button, the Join Now button. Again, if you don't see it, there's 3 little dots, and those 3 little dots are connected to the chat and the dialogue, and that opens up the window to be able to see the Join Now button. And also, I might as well just put this, I think it might be helpful to put the link possibly. No, I think that might be fine. If there's any issues though, please let me know in the chat if you're having any trouble seeing that link, but the button should pop up and that should be fine. So again, 15 minutes, right? Or 14 minutes now before this offer is completely over for coaching. So in the meantime, I'm going to answer your questions and go over some very frequently asked questions that I get almost all the time about this, and it'll probably answer some of your questions as well. So number 1 is, how do I access the course? So after signing up, you receive a welcome email with access to the first module. And it's really easy. Once you get started, you'll see that week by week, you'll have new content delivered, which actually answers the second question, can I see all the content at once? So in order to make sure you stay focused, you're only going to have access to one module at a time. And I find that it helps also keep the momentum going, unless, if I just open it all up at once, it's easy to get distracted and overwhelmed by all the course content. So it keeps it really succinct and organized. Next question is, how much support do I receive in the Facebook group? So you get unlimited support, completely unlimited. The group is here to support you as well as I am. So no matter what happens, I'm here for you. So it could be, 6 weeks after the course, 6 months after the course, just let me know. And you can always leave questions and comments there. And the next question is, again, what is the money back guarantee? So it is 14 days from purchase, and I refund every penny, no questions asked, if you decide it's not for you. And you'll be given my help desk link to my team, which allows you to get in touch with me if you decide that it's not going to work for you. So you'll have complete access as soon as you purchase the course. And the next question is, what are coaching calls like with you? So that's a great question, because, it's all about developing that relationship for me. So what I do is I send you a coaching form, and this form will be sent to you after you set up the first time with me. So let's say, once you purchase the course, you see my calendar, and you'll have the opportunity then to book a coaching session on my calendar. And then I'll send you a consultation form, which will allow us to better understand your needs for the coaching call. And then we'll set goals and have an end goal at the very end to make sure that we're meeting those. So it can be on any topic whatsoever, as long as it's in line, right, with what we're talking about here. But self-doubt, fear, anxiety, intuition, not trusting yourself, all of that is exactly what I can help you with in this situation. So then I get the question, which is a good one too. Will this really work for me? I understand your hesitation. Really, I do, because I was skeptical as well. I didn't know 100% if it was going to work for me either. And I had to test it, right? So I tested these tools and techniques, and then once I felt confident, then I tested it with my clients and my students. And, I understand, especially if you're a person that is on this workshop right now because you doubt yourself, you're probably going to doubt whether or not this is right for you, right? I mean, naturally. So just to help you with that, that's why I have this 14-day refund process, because I don't want you to get stuck in that, in the overthinking and the overanalyzing. So that's why I also set this up for a 72-hour, situation, because I want to make sure you access it as soon as possible. There's no reason to have to wait. So then I have a few other questions here that have come in. So I'm going to go through those and see a little bit. So good. We have at least 10 more minutes. And I can already see the sales are coming in. So wonderful, wonderful. It's so nice to have you join. And make sure 10 more minutes. That's it. That's all the time you have left. So make sure you click that join link. You continue to hear what I have to say. The link should open up in a new tab. So I have another question, which is, I'm not ready to buy, but I'm still interested. What do I do? So this course, unfortunately, is only being offered at this time for the next 3 days. So if you're really not sure if this is right for you, or if this is 100% on track with your needs at this time, then I encourage you just to go for it, because there is no consequence in that. You can always get your money refunded. You can always take your time with the course if it's not the right time. So there's opportunity. Whereas if you wait, then you will lose that opportunity, unfortunately. So then another question, which is actually really connected to the last one. It's not a good time for me to take a course. I'm too busy. My life is too complicated. I have so much going on. So it's really interesting, because I actually developed this course exactly for busy people, because I know I've created tons of courses before online, and I used to have really long courses, like 12 weeks and whatnot, and realized engagement was not great over that time frame, because let's face it, right? We lose focus, life happens, and we can't stay on task. So what I did is I created this course to be a lifetime access for you. I brought it all into 6 weeks, and only the important information you need to know. So none of this extra detail stuff that's unimportant. And, of course, if you can't complete it in 6 weeks, that's okay, right? You don't have to. You have the opportunity to hold off on it. You can get started in a few months or whatever works for your schedule. And then, of course, just join the group, and I'm happy to support you at any time throughout the process. So I wanted to keep it very flexible. So then I have another question, which is, I'm interested in your Akashic Records teachings as well. How is this course similar or different to your Akashic Records work? That's a really good question. So I like to frame it this way. We must develop our intuition first before we can really truly feel confident that we are accessing our Akashic Records. So I do offer Akashic Records classes and trainings and things, but I find that this is the number one first step in any of that. Because if even if you think you trust yourself a little bit, but you're not quite sure, this is still the course for you. Because if you decide later that you're really interested in the Akashic Records, then this is going to help you get there. This is going to help you not only feel like I'm in it, but I trust all the information that I'm receiving. So that's what I suggest. I suggest just kind of, taking this as a first step. And then if you've taken my other Akashic Records courses, then of course, this is a good add-on as well, especially if you just want to do a bit more intuitive work. But I discovered actually after creating my Akashic Records course that the intuition course, because I do have some intuition content there, but I realized I needed more, and my students were requesting more. And that's actually a big reason why I created this course, because I realized that you need more information, and just to be able to move into that intuitive state before you can access the Akashic Records. And that's just something to note about that. So in case you're interested in that, then there's still the opportunity. And by the way, this isn't a prerequisite, this course, for Akashic Records courses in the future as of right now, but that could change. So just something to note, because I want to make sure you get the most out of your experience. So then I have another question here, which is, I never finish courses, right? This actually comes back to the long courses and lack of focus and distraction. why should I take this course if I never finish the courses I take? Or I have so much going on, or I'm taking 7 different courses, right? I know some of you are real overachievers, and I get it. I 100% get it. So first thing to note is that because this is only a 6-week program, you're not going to be thrown all of this different stuff. You're not going to have so much information that you can't actually, go into it. You can't spend time with it. You can't commit yourself to it. It's going to be really easy to spend time with it. And, what it comes down to also is if you get lost or stuck along the way, that's why I created this specific private Facebook group, right? I wanted to make sure that you had the opportunity to ask questions or to say, hey, I have something going on in my life right now, and I'm having a really hard time focusing on this content and getting in touch with my intuition. Can you please help? And that's what I'm there for. That's what the other course subscribers are there for. That's what everyone's there for, to help you. And I find that that makes a big difference overall. And I have to tell you that I haven't had one person yet who hasn't finished the course. A lot of that is because of our community of support, the emails that get sent out as reminders to make sure that you stay on task, and also just knowing that you're making progress, right, along the way. Because when you feel that progress, then you don't second guess yourself anymore, right? There's that. So then another question is, how much time do I have to commit to this? So again, for busy people, what I have done is I organize each module or each week into specific categories. So, for example, you'll see here, one category is it's going to take you this amount of time. The next category is that amount of time, to the point where it's only going to take you about 2 to 3 hours in a week in order to go through that. It's not really that much. And, of course, there's the opportunity for those of you who have more time in your schedule to actually spend more time on the course too. But it's set up to allow you to determine how much time you can spend. And in fact, in the introduction to the course, what I go over is specifics for how to set up your life for the next 6 weeks. And I know a lot of courses don't do that. They just give you the course and they say, well, just kind of do it at your own pace. But if you're like most, you probably need a plan, right? You want to plan for, okay, step 1, I'm going to start this. I'm going to watch this video. And then when I watch that video, I'm going to do this. And then you know exactly what you have to do. Whereas, if you just were given all of this information at once, you're going to be overwhelmed, right? And it's going to feel really disconnecting or disorienting. So I also help you to put this in your schedule, to make it a priority, to make sure that you're putting yourself first, because many times the problem is that we're not putting ourselves first, especially those who are light workers or empaths or spiritual seekers. It's so easy to just say, I can't, I don't have time for it, or I can't make it happen, because we're so busy putting our energy out there, right? And not bringing our energy back here. And another thing I want to note too is that as the clock is running out here, I just want to be so quick with this, because we've got less than 3 minutes now for you to purchase this course with the free coaching offer. So please make sure you jump on it immediately, because I promise you it will not be offered again. But before we end with that, I just want to say that this is, coming near and dear from my heart. This is something that I've worked very hard on to bring this to the world, to bring this to you now. And when I looked at the value of what it would actually cost to create it and bring it together, I decided I wanted to make it more affordable to everybody as best as possible. So that's why I created that payment plan. So if you realize that, I really can't do the $397 right now, I understand, but I highly suggest that you jump on the payment plan, because that will also not be offered again as well. And I did that for $97 up front. If you think about it, you are, paying for, it's less than a phone bill. It's less than a grocery bill for many. It's less than a car payment. It's less than many things that you would spend out in the world. And I'm encouraging you now to invest in yourself and do this for you, because what it comes down to in the end is no matter what you do, no matter what you put your energy into, if it's not coming back to yourself, if you're not bringing that energy back to the truth of who you are, right, getting in touch with that deeper knowing within, then everything out there is not going to be 100% authentic. Nothing out there will be 100% authentic unless you're connected to your intuition, which is also connected to your higher self, which I go very deeply into in the course. And, all of this is just about attuning, right? Clearing the stuff and attuning. And I'm so excited to be able to share this with you. I'm so excited to be able to be a part of this journey with you as well. So as the clock is very quickly running out here, we got about 30 seconds left. I just want to double check and see if there's any further questions before I end our workshop today. And looks like no more questions. Okay, so we did it. We did it in the exact amount of time with 20 seconds left. So make sure, because I will be ending this workshop in just a few sections here. So click join now as soon as you can, and make sure you jump on it as quick as you can, because I know time is running out. So with that being said, again, I thank you for your time. I thank you for being here and making this a priority. And I also just thank you for, well, of course, making yourself a priority, because that's part of it too. And one last join here. This is all about you, all about getting in touch with what's important. So thank you, and I hope to see you in the course. Take good care, and I hope to see you soon. All right, bye-bye.